In a dusty old library, a girl stumbles upon a cool book. It's about a powerful sorcerer named Ike. He's super famous because he fought for the Demon Lord's army and is the grandson of Romberg, a master sorcerer. Ike is a total boss, leading orcs and monsters into battle with his sidekick, Giron. Ike storms into a captured castle where a human commander is sulking. Ike gives the guy 3 choices: surrender all his land, die honorably, or jump out the window while Ike pretends to enjoy the scenery. The commander, trying to be a hero, attacks Ike, but Ike is too powerful and defeats him with a single spell. Even after winning, Ike shows mercy. He tells Giron to heal the wounded commander and his soldiers who surrendered. Watching all this from afar through a magical orb, a sorceress is impressed. Ike's squad conquered Arsenam in just a week. She admits Ike has mad skills. Despite his victories, Ike feels bad about the destruction and the lives lost. Here's the big twist. Ike isn't actually a demon, he's a human. His teacher, Romberg, was a genius who knew all about a super advanced civilization from the past. Romberg raised Ike as his own and taught him everything about magic. Before he died, Romberg told Ike to never talk about the lost civilization because it could cause chaos. Ike must always wear a cloak and mask to hide his human identity because the Demon Lord would never forgive him if he knew the truth. Back to the present, Ike finds a young maid hiding under a desk. She's scared out of her mind and accidentally knocks herself out. Later, Ike walks through the ruins of Arsenam talking with Giron. Giron is worried they left too many humans alive, but Ike thinks differently. Dead people can't pay taxes or keep the city's machines running. When the residents ask about taxes, Ike tells them the rates stay the same but warns against resistance. Suddenly, without warning, Ike is summoned to a chamber where a gigantic golem attacks him. Realizing what's going on, Ike quickly gets his game face on and uses his scepter to unleash this epic slashing attack, totally destroying the giant golem. A lady watches, thinking about how Ike used to be this scared little kid hiding behind his grandpa Romberg. Now, Ike's a total beast. Saphiro, who's in charge of Ike's battalion, is the only demon who knows Ike's secret. She surprises Ike by saying the Demon Lord wants to see him, because she's super impressed with him for capturing Arsenam. This is a big deal because Ike's the first brigade leader to get this honor. Saphiro tells him to put his hands on her shoulder because they're teleporting to the Demon Lord's castle right away. She jokingly adds that if he liked to put his hands on her opai instead. Meanwhile, the clumsy maid who wakes up after fainting. She's stuck in a room with a magical barrier and finds some food with a note telling her to eat and stay quiet. She's confused but super hungry, so she eats the food like it's the best meal ever. Back to Ike, he's now standing in front of the creepy Demon Lord's castle. Surrounded by dark, nasty miasma, this place is seriously messing with his human body. To make things worse, he's about to through the gate for an inspection, which could blow his cover. Saphiro casts a spell to keep his disguise intact, and they successfully enter the castle, which is huge and feels like it goes on forever. Ike wishes he could fly like Saphiro, who effortlessly glides through the halls. Finally, they reach the throne room where the current demon lord, Dairokuten, sits. This demon is super famous for turning the tide of the war against humanity with just one battle, and everyone is scared of him because he executes anyone he thinks is useless. Ike bows, expecting to see some huge, terrifying demon. But surprise! Dairokuten is actually a young lady. She mentions how impressive it was that Ike conquered the fortress city of Arsenam in just a week. Ike, being humble, credits Saphiro for the success. Dairokuten comments that such humility sounds almost human, which freaks Ike out a bit. Saphiro quickly steps in and says she brought the grandson of Romberg, known as the Guardian of Hell. This made the Demon Lord realizes that Ike's modesty probably comes from his grandpa. She mentions that Arsenam was taken over with barely any bloodshed. She thinks he should have listened to Giron about being a bit harsher. But then, Ike explains that humans might fear terror, but will never truly obey it, and history shows this. Then Dairokuten blink up to Ike's face and says he's different from the other demons. She wants to see Ike's real face next time, not just the mask he wears. With that, she leaves, and Ike feels super relieved, worried he might get found out. Saphiro, with a big smile, tells Ike that it's unusual for him to be nervous. He admits he was scared because the Demon Lord almost saw through his disguise. She then tells him that Dairokuten gave him a reward, which could also be seen as a punishment. Ike teleports back to his room in Arsenam, where the maid, who's been sleeping after a big meal, is napping. He kicks her chair to wake her up, and she freaks out, thinking he's going to kill her. Ike calms her down, asking for her name to break the ice. She says her name is 13, which Ike finds odd. She explains that servants are called by numbers, but her mom calls her Sati. Ike decides to make her his maid, and she agrees without hesitation. Later, Giron congratulates Ike on becoming the Lord of Ivalias, a land on the south border of Arsenum. This is the Demon Lord's gift to Ike, giving him a chance to be on the front line against humans. The Demon Lord wants Ike to double the tax revenue in the area, which is in the middle of a war. Interestingly, Saphiro had previously devastated this area, and now Ike has to rebuild it. Ike sets to work, ordering humans and demons to work together to rebuild the town. This cooperation cuts the reconstruction time down to just 1 month. Giron doesn't like working with humans, especially since they get overtime pay as an incentive. But even Giron admits that Ike's methods are strange but effective. People start recognizing Ike for his efforts, and Giron praises him, seeing him as the future Demon Lord.